Guard. So we appreciate all of you being out here to join with us. And you know, this has been something that's been long coming. But I want to tell you one quick story. 43 years ago, well, not quite, almost 43, I stood right here on that spot and received my commission. And I was a member of the South Dakota Guard utilizing tuition assistance then. And that was something that the governor had done for us in the legislature. And it was instrumental in allowing me to go on and do the things that I've done in my life because of that, being able to afford to go to college and start my career. And so this is really a big day, and we just appreciate all the support from the governor and the legislature. I see Senator Johnson here, who chaired the Mill Vets Committee on the Senate side, and Representative Reich, who helped us usher that through along with the governor's staff. And so just want to say thank you to all of you for supporting this very important bill. And so with that, I'm going to get out of the way and turn this over to our Commander-in-Chief of the South Dakota National Guard, who we are fortunate to have as our Commander-in-Chief. She understands what we do. She understands the sacrifice that our soldiers and airmen make when they raise their hand and commit to serve for their country and their state. And so please help me welcome Governor Noem.
Thank you very much. It is wonderful to be with all of you. Good afternoon. Today is a day of celebration. This is a day that for many years we've talked about being able to stand in front of our guardsmen and sign a bill that would allow 100% tuition reimbursement, and that is exactly what we're doing today. We all know the sacrifices that you make, but those of us who've never served don't really understand them. We haven't been through them, but I did have a father who served in the National Guard and heard his stories, and have family members that have stepped up and served in different branches of the military, and just know that your sacrifice, your service is greatly appreciated. When we look even in today's day and age, we recognize the very real threats that we face and the dangers that we have in front of us and all around us at all times, and know that we are extremely grateful for the fact that our families get to wake up every day and dream of new opportunities, and it's because all of you voluntarily raise your hands and say you'll defend the United States of America, that you will go out and serve the people of the state of South Dakota. And that means the world to each and every one of us. You know, this tuition bill was something that we have talked about for years. I remember when I served in the legislature back and got elected in 2006, it was something that was discussed at the time, the tuition reimbursement resources that we had for our Guard members. Over the years, as I've talked with many new members who signed up and raised their hands to volunteer for the Guard, that they told me one of the reasons that they did was because of the help with their education, that it was critically important to them and a tool that would allow them to serve but still get the education that they needed to provide for their families and to go after the career and the dreams that they would like to have. It was interesting when the TAG and I were talking about it before, some of the challenges we see in our country with recruitment. You know, many states are struggling with that, and I would say our numbers here in South Dakota as well, that we need some new recruits. And we were talking about putting this on the table for an option that we could pursue this legislative session and see if we could get our legislators to support it. I remember telling him in that discussion that we had in my office that it was pretty hard for me to get up in the morning and to say that I was really working hard to recruit members to the National Guard if I didn't have all my tools on the table. That I didn't feel it was right for me to say and expect our recruiters to go out and all of you to go out and inspire new people to step up and serve if I didn't give you every single tool that you needed to do that. To tell the story of everything of quality and assets and resources and benefits that serving in our National Guard could provide for an individual. So I hope with this that you recognize that this is me and the Lieutenant Governor and the legislature wanting you to have every single tool at your disposal to make sure that we not only have the equipment and the training that we need, but that we also have the men and women that we need to continue to do your job. I do not want you to be shorthanded. I do not want you to look to your left or your right and wonder where your buddy is, because we didn't do a good enough job telling our story about the importance of your work, or recognizing your sacrifice, or recognizing how important and beneficial this is to an individual individual and how it can benefit their family for many years to come. So this is a special day for me. Our state has some amazing schools that people can go and take advantage of. This bill will actually do 100% tuition reimbursement, not just for our universities, but also for our technical schools. And we're finding more and more that our technical schools are in higher demand for our National Guard members than ever before. So that kind of flexibility is incredibly important when we do a bill like this. I'm hoping that every single Guard member that's born and raised here will want to stay, get their education here. I always tell people, if you can get a kid to stay in South Dakota and go to college or technical school, there's a pretty good chance they're going to fall in love with somebody in that school too, and they're going to want to stay here and raise a family. So if we can keep them here and get them going to our schools, there's a much higher likelihood that they're going to find someone that they want to make a home with right here in our borders too. So it's important to me that we are able to do this. You are what I believe to be is our nation's greatest asset. That you are what we need to continue to support because you are the ones that make sure that our way of life is going to continue to be as great as it always has been, and that we have the opportunities in front of us. South Dakota is the best state to live. It's the best state to raise a family. It's the best place to serve, and it's the best place for a military veteran to retire, to live, to work, and to pursue every opportunity in front of them. I hope you never forget that, and I hope I don't ever drop the ball on my duty to prove to you that all of those are true. So thank you for the communication, the service, for your optimistic attitudes. Thank you for serving, and I appreciate all that you do for this state and for this country, because more now than ever, boy, do we need inspiration and do we need a vision for where this country needs to go. And you are the examples that are walking amongst us and amongst our people that show our youth exactly who we want them to grow up and to be. It is people just like you. So thank you for that. I am going to invite a few other speakers to come up and share with you today. We have the opportunity to have two different guardsmen who are going to share some personal testimony and stories with you. They are going to share a few words. The first one is Chief Warrant Officer to Braden Nelson. I'm going to ask Braden if he'll come up here and share with you a little bit of his thoughts about what this legislation might mean to him and to his future and family. Braden?
Well, thank you, Governor Noem, for giving me such an easy speech to follow. Thanks, ma'am. Good afternoon, Governor Noem, Major General Marlette, distinguished visitors and guests. My name is CW2 Braden Nelson. It is my pleasure to speak with you on behalf of the South Dakota National Guard today on the new 100% tuition assistance benefit for the members of the South Dakota National Guard. This new benefit is a monumental achievement for the state of South Dakota and the National Guard. The new benefit will enable South Dakota soldiers and airmen to pursue higher education while decreasing the cost of the service member and their families. As a soldier currently using this benefit, I can't tell you how important this is to the soldiers and the airmen. The average cost at a South Dakota four-year university for a 30-semester student is $9,000 per year. And with the current 50% tuition rate, this is going to put $4,500 back into the pockets of guardsmen and their families every year. This will increase the ability of the South Dakota National Guard to retain soldiers and airmen within our forces and allow us to educate our force further and allow us to give the universities in South Dakota some hardworking individuals with discipline that the South Dakota National Guard is known to have. As the governor mentioned, hopefully at the end of their graduation, they come out more educated and South Dakota is able to keep these well-educated soldiers in their communities and within the Guard. Thank you for your time. God bless America, South Dakota, the South Dakota National Guard. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome up Sergeant First Class Lynn Waldy to the podium. He's going to share with you some of his thoughts about the importance of this legislation today as well. So, for Sergeant.
Good afternoon, Governor Noem, General Marlette, our distinguished guests and visitors. There's always some inherent risk when you put a microphone in front of an enlisted guy, especially a recruiter, we'll see how this goes. I do appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts today, though. When I look at the South Dakota National Guard, I see a reflection of our state's greatest resource, which is our people. Our National Guard is made up of some of the best people our state has to offer. I am excited about this tremendous change to the state tuition assistance program because it will have such a direct impact on our current and future soldiers, our institutions of higher learning, and ultimately the people of South Dakota as a whole. In order to illustrate this, allow me to share a few of my experiences within the Guard and in my time of service. I enlisted as a senior, Hardin County High School, went to MEPS and enlisted with one of my classmates on the same day. It's truly amazing to me the impact that decision has had on my life. The experiences I've had, the people I've met, places I have gone, opportunities that have opened, and the benefits I have utilized are hard to put into words. Many of my most memorable times are because of this uniform. Whether that's cutting in a fire line with a bulldozer on a forest fire up in the Black Hills, going to Germany for a 2-week annual training, walking through the ruins of Babylon while I was deployed to Iraq, or watching one of the soldiers I've enlisted become a commissioned officer. My time in the National Guard has been more than I could have imagined. When a recruiting position opened in Rapid City, I looked at some of my experiences. I applied for that position because I wanted to be a part of passing our benefits on to the next generation of soldiers. Now, if you had told me that, or if you had told that senior in high school that someday I would have been a recruiter, I would have laughed at you. This was not really my plan. But I am here because of those experiences in that time. Next month will mark 10 years that I've been a recruiter for the South Dakota National Guard. It's been the most rewarding job that I've ever had in my life. When I meet with individuals to discuss what the National Guard offers, the best moments are when you see the light bulb turn on. Those light bulb moments happen because of the power of possibility. Those hopes and dreams switch from theoretical to practical. Plans begin to develop and goals become reality. They're no longer just vague wishes. I get the enjoyment of watching some of the people I've enlisted as they accomplish those goals. I have seen a soldier go from a college dropout working at a tire shop to completing his mechanical engineering degree. The increase to our state tuition assistance is going to open new doors for many people in South Dakota. It is the single greatest new benefit I have experienced in my 24 years of service. I'm excited about the power of possibility that comes with it for those who answer the call to serving our great state and nation. Today is a great day for our entire state. I would like to thank our elected officials, and especially the governor, for her unwavering support of the South Dakota National Guard in making this day possible. Thanks.
Next speaker will be my partner, the Lieutenant Governor of South Dakota, Larry Roden. Larry served in the National Guard. He is someone that has sons who have stepped up and served in different roles as well, protecting people and protecting this country, and someone that I'm very proud of because he is a partner that will give me wisdom and discernment and insight into different policies and has always had your backs as well. So would you please help me welcome the Lieutenant Governor, Larry Roden.
Well, thank you, Governor Noem. It is my pleasure to be here in front of all of you today. And I was reflecting on my past, and you know, I have a lot of military history in my family. I have veterans that you know, my grandfather, my father, my sons, my uncles, my nephews that have served in the military. And I was in the National Guard in the 80s through the 80s for about 6 years, and I was telling General Marlette, when Desert Storm started, I had been inactive for a number of years, and we had just started deploying soldiers, and I got a manila envelope in the mail one day, and my heart about fell out of my chest because I assumed it was from the Department of Defense. I assumed it was marching orders, Instead, it was my discharge. So it was a great relief. But I remember that because, you know, when I served in the Guards, it was impressed upon us every month that we were a combat supporting company. But it never came home to me until years later when we were deploying soldiers. And I think in our administration, there's not been one day in the last 4 years plus that we haven't had troops deployed overseas. So it became real. And I think that's more than appropriate to talk about today, because I think this is just another reason that we should take steps to show respect and gratitude in real ways to our veterans who have agreed to step up and sign up and agreed to stand in harm's way on our behalf for your state and your nation. And I know the governor and I are both extremely grateful for that. So I want to thank Governor Noem for making that a priority this year in session. But more importantly, I want to thank you guys and gals for what you do for our state and our nation by stepping up. Thank you.
You know, I was standing here thinking about the different ways that these bills get signed and these dollars get appropriated. You know, we start planning our next year's budget as soon as legislative session ends. So we're already looking at next year's session on what will be our priorities, what we will fund, and what we will decide is something that South Dakota should put at the top of its list to tackle in the next coming year when we start talking to legislators, talking to people in the state about their priorities. What's interesting to me, and I don't ever want to forget, and I hope none of you ever forget, is that this isn't my money. It's not the lieutenant governor's money that will pay these bills. It's not really any of your money. This is the taxpayers of South Dakota that are deciding that we have decided that we would stand behind you and support the education efforts of members of the National Guard. The men and women in this state, they get up every single day and they go to work and they provide for their families. They lived through a lot of these challenges that you went out there and helped them get through. They were hit with the flooding that came because of the bomb cyclone in 2019, and you all showed up and helped them. In 2020, when the pandemic came, you were immediately there, helping care for them, helping them get resources, even directing traffic at times if it was necessary. Those taxpayers were so incredibly grateful that when there was conflict overseas that you were willing to go. When the southern border was a disaster, that you raised your hand and volunteered to go and help keep this country safe. They recognize that every single day when there is a tornado or a derecho, that it's our National Guard members who come to all their communities, and when they need help that you provide it. I hope you know that these dollars that these taxpayers work hard for, they pay for their families' bills and necessities, and then they pay their taxes, and they know that they want it to go to something important. They want to make sure that somebody is going to be accountable to how that is spent. I have no doubt that I will never have to defend spending these dollars on you. They will be thrilled and very proud of the fact that their tax dollars are going to support the National Guard members and your service. And over and over again, I hear every day about how proud they are of you and what you do for them. So I hope you don't forget that this is their dollars saying they support you as well, and they believe in the future of the South Dakota National Guard, and that you will continue to lead the nation in excellence and example that will continue to protect our country. So God bless you. We are going to move over here and do the bill signing now. I will sit down, we'll do that. You will watch us do some goofy things because we are going to smile and take a picture. Then we're going to pretend to sign the bill so we can take a picture as well, where everybody's looking at me but I'm doing nothing. And then we will actually sign the bill, and then you all can celebrate because this is a good day. All right? Sound like a plan? Okay, here we go. You all get to come with me.
Governor, I want to bring a few more people up, if that's okay. So I would like, I know we've got some young Air Guardsmen here, if you would come up. And all you soldiers and airmen here are E5s and below. who I know are really taking advantage of this lately. Come on up together around the governor and be part of this, please. Don't be shy. Come on up. Come on in here around behind. Fill on in, crowd on in, both sides. Come on up close. Is that all of them? All right, perfect.
Okay, Chad, you ready? Yep, ready. Okay, everybody look at Chad.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, now we're gonna look down, pretend I'm signing. All right, so, this is House Bill 1039, an act to revise certain provisions regarding the payment of tuition for members of the South Dakota National Guard. Congratulations. I will give that to the tag because I don't know who else to give it to. Congratulations. Thank you, All right, that's it. We're done.